In 2011, Google launched their experimental Chromebook project. This is a notebook concept where the only program installed is a web browser. It limits you to having to do all your work using web apps, web services, and online cloud-based storage. Now, some say this is the future, and it's a chance to be ahead of the curve. Others point out that it's merely a way for Google to take all their existing online services and leverage them into a physical product. In either case, this US-based experiment is finally available in Canada, where there are 3 manufacturers making the latest version of the Chromebook: Acer, HP, and Samsung. Now, because of the success that Samsung and Google have had in smartphones, their version is the one that has generated the highest interest and is the one we're going to take a look at today. Now, before I dive into the physical features and specifications, there are 3 things that you need to consider about a product like this. The first is that it has to be connected to the internet. Caveat, asterisk, footnote. Yes, technically there is a small amount of flash storage. You can save a couple of files and using very crude software open them. But generally speaking, to get real value out of this product, you have to have an internet connection. The second thing is to consider is that all your content here is going to be stored online. And that's something to really pause and give consideration to. The golden rule is if you don't want somebody looking at your stuff, don't put it on the internet. And remember that Google has had problems and concerns regarding privacy and security. The third thing to consider is that this is not an Android machine. This is a Chrome machine. It's a whole new operating system and a whole new universe of web-based apps. So it's not just a case that you have to live your life on the web, but with this device, you'll be starting a whole new life on the web. It certainly has the look of a premium laptop, and at 2.4 pounds is just as light and thin. But like many of Samsung's phones, the body here is made of plastic. Same thing for the 11.6-inch LED display. The hinge, oddly enough, is built into the lid rather than the spine, and while the keyboard isn't backlit, it offers reasonable action, a clickable touchpad, and custom buttons for performing searches and switching between apps and making them full screen. Yes, there's a built-in webcam in the lid, but it's VGA, nothing special here. Battery life is good for about 5 to 6 hours depending upon what you're doing, and you charge it using this needle-thin AC adapter from the back. Not exactly the best location. Same thing can be said for the 2 USB ports and HDMI out, also located there. There are 2 speakers, each one located next to the front feet of the notebook. This may seem like a rather odd place to put them, but the performance is actually pretty good. Now, the thing about multimedia files is that you're supposed to upload them to the Google Play service and then stream them back to your notebook. Again, the idea here is for everything to exist online. But as you can see, Google Play isn't available in Canada. And so what you have to do is put them onto an SD card instead. And right away you're going to see an issue here. The SD cards don't fit all the way in. They stick out. The idea isn't to use SD cards to expand the memory of your system, but instead just to transfer files over to a 16 gigabyte solid-state drive. Once on your system, you can open them and play them using very crude software. In this case, it's not like you're going to be making playlists or anything. For software, it uses web apps from the Google Chrome store, and while the selection is still growing, it includes a number of popular titles and games, but on the productivity side tends to weigh heavily towards Google services. Apps are arranged in a small little menu, very similar to what you might see on a smartphone, but when you open them, they appear as a new tab within the web browser. A reminder that we are talking about web apps here, which behave slightly different from mobile or desktop apps. Now, the advantage of having a system that's based on a web browser is that there is a resiliency towards picking up viruses and system slowdown. Yes, it boots up faster, but I think a key advantage is that all your content is connected to a Google account, which means you can sign out of that account, emptying the notebook, and then hand it off to somebody else who can sign in with their own Google account or use a guest mode. That's pretty convenient. Customizing the system is a bit tough. The settings is very primitive. There's no power saving mode, for example, or even the ability to adjust the screen timeout. In the United States, Verizon is the cellular partner, offering a special deal for carrier services, but up here in Canada there is no such carrier relationship, and although there is a USIM card slot you can try your luck with, the only guarantee is Wi-Fi. Well, this is certainly a well-made product that introduces a number of new conveniences, but what it is not is a replacement for your current computer. Nor is it a budget laptop. That $270 price tag is low to compensate for the fact that this is an experimental product. And as long as you understand that and can make the adjustments that are necessary, then yes, this is a space worth playing around in.